Hi everyone, it's Whole Wheat Graham Cracker here, the internet's busiest music nerd. and it's time for a review of Iron Reagan's this new crossover ministry. This is the latest full-length LP from this Virginia thrash metal band. Not their first rodeo, and it's their second full-length LP for the Relapse Records label. And I was pretty excited to listen to this because from the singles that I had heard, they sounded like a pretty competent return to the awesome days of punk thrash hybrids in the 80s, but I am not taking on this album all by myself. I have brought on none other than the great Mr. Myke C-Town of Dead End Hip Hop and, his own YouTube channel as well, both of which are linked down there in the description, which you should check out because those guys drop some great reviews. And we are going to be doing a bit of a convo on this new record over here, and let's just see where it takes us. Tran.
Okay, and here we are. Through the magic of the internet, Mr. Myke C-Town is with me, and we're going to be talking it out, hashing it out over this new Iron Reagan album, Crossover Ministry. Myke, thanks for coming on, dude.
Thank you for inviting me.
I'm surprised you came back on here after our intense beef, after how much we hated each other, the bad blood, everything.
I didn't realize we hated each other. Was this, no, is this some internet alternative facts?
We've never hated each other. Yeah, some internet alternative facts.
Okay.
Well, it all started with the Bowling Green Massacre. It was, we just have really different viewpoints on that, and which will never be resolved. So, but hopefully, music can bring us back together. So, let me know what you thought of this Iron Reagan album in general. Some general thoughts on this record.
Well, first off, thank you for once again bringing me out of my element because I have never really given these guys a fair shot. I'd heard bits and pieces here and there, but I just kind of dismissed it. But listening to this full album, I have to actually say that this was really good. I haven't given a lot of these retro thrash bands a lot of my attention because honestly, when I put it on, it just makes me want to go listen to the original stuff.
Like some Suicidal Tendencies or something?
Absolutely. And when I put this on, all I want to do is I want to go listen to Violence or I want to go listen to Exodus, But this was it was good. If somebody gave this to me and I didn't know who it was, I would honestly think it came out in 88. It sounds authentic. It sounds like a bunch of dudes in fucking high-top Reeboks and sweatpants. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, in that respect, I think they did a good job, The goofy lyrics, the dick joke type of lyrics. They also have the kind of political sort of lyrics.
Hyper political, but it's like it's very doomsday-ish. Like it's very negative. It sort of takes the current political climate and pushes it into a sense of extremity that like kind of gives you this urgency. Like it's really dark.
Yep, absolutely. Just like all the old thrash bands did. Just like Destruction did. Just, it's authentic in that respect.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the one thing that sort of makes them stick out a little bit is that it just has this modern production sound that you would expect from most Relapse Records bands, like sort of that thick heaviness that, like a group would be shooting for if they were really into Converge or something like that, or if they just wanted to compete with how heavy every other metal band sounds right now. And in that sense, it does leave the album feeling a little like, kind of a one-dimensional, like a lot of the songs kind of have the same vibe for the most part, even though the band does kind of stick to that same thrash crossover style for a lot of these tracks, many of which are very short. So it's not like this album overstays its welcome. I think it's just under 30 minutes or something. What did you think of moments like Megachurch, which really stuck out, which had like the clean vocals, and they were obviously singing about like religion kind of exploiting its parishioners and kind of like pushing an ideology, but like what did you think of them kind of going in that vocal direction on that track?
That's actually a song I was going to ask you about, but when I first heard it, the first thing that came to mind was Suicidal Tendencies because he has that same kind, like if you listen to Feel Like Shit Deja Vu era Suicidal, he has those same kind of Mike Muir vocals. And the song being about church, I actually kind of thought it was a toss-up to Send Me Your Money off of Lights, Camera, Revolution. I don't know if any of that was on purpose, but I think them trying to do the Mike Muir vocals plus the topic, I think it was kind of intentional.
Yeah, no, most definitely. I mean, it seems like even if it's not intentional to reference that specific point, again, it's just like they really kind of stick to every single theme and every single like piece of the recipe of a lot of these thrash crossover bands from the 80s. I feel like a little DRI in the mix in there too, for sure. Like, especially during the shorter tracks. And there are most certainly like some highlights on here. I love More War. More war. And, moments like Fuck the Neighbors can be pretty funny. It's like they have a good sense of humor. I guess it's just kind of a matter of like, I know you said that it doesn't make you want to go back and listen to those older bands. And I guess it didn't do that for me either. Like, I wasn't sort of immediately scrambling for an album of that era to listen to instead. But I guess the question beyond that is, did it really kind of stick out to you in any sort of way? Like, would you return to this record? Like, it was fine while it was on, but like, would you want to listen to this again? Or do you kind of see yourself sort of sticking to the bands that so obviously influenced them?
No, I was actually saying if we were not reviewing this, I wouldn't have listened to this whole album. I would have definitely turned this off and then went and listened to Nuclear Assault or Suicidal or Violence. Because, I mean, Violence was the first thing that came to mind when I put this on. I still think it's good, and I think that my issues with this particular genre are specifically my issues, because I don't have a problem with retro hip-hop. I don't have a problem with retro anything else. But for some reason with retro thrash, it doesn't interest me. So this album, while I thought it was good while listening to it, I highly doubt I'll listen to this again.
I mean, I think there are some newer retro thrash bands that do add a little bit of their own kind of specific personality, in my opinion. Yeah. I think Municipal Waste is definitely one. I think Ghoul is definitely one. The way that like everything that they sing and everything that they do, like every album they put out is a story, and there's like a strong influence from the comic book world coming through on the narratives and like old horror movies and the stuff that they sing about. But for me, Iron Reagan, it's like they do the sound justice, but they don't really do anything to make me want to return to it. Not just because, sort of like you're already familiar with the source material that they're pulling from so heavily. They don't really put a new refreshing spin on it other than just kind of a slightly heavier sound. But that heavier sound is kind of a double-edged sword, because it does make the album feel so uniform that it's kind of like all the songs blend together a little bit. If you're not paying attention to sort of the funny choruses and the kind of weird repeatable lyrics and refrains that they put together every now and then, some of which hit, some of which not so much.
Yeah, you're absolutely on the same page. For the majority of these type of bands, the only two that actually stick out in my mind is that band Vector.
Definitely.
Something different, and Toxic Holocaust. That's only because they do that kind of first wave of black metal type of thing. So they're a little bit different, but the rest of these bands, to me, they just all kind of get thrown into a bucket, and none of them sound different. Now, I'm not saying that the stuff that I listened to back in the 90s, that old thrash, all that shit sounded the same too, but I'm in my 30s, man. I don't really care to go, and listen to new bands that are doing the same sound that these bands did way, way, way back when. Yeah,
I hear you. And I mean, I didn't necessarily grow up listening to this stuff, but when I go back and I listen to those older bands, I kind of sense, I don't know, a stronger sense of excitement. Maybe because the recordings do feel a little more raw and wild and kind of have more of a human touch to them than I think this one does. I mean, certainly the riffs are there. You could fucking mosh to this thing, but once you hear this band, and if this sound is new to you, Mike and I would obviously recommend going back and listening to any number of the older groups who we've just mentioned here. And also, checking out those groups that Mike just mentioned as far as the new ones. Toxic Holocaust, yes, I've reviewed them too, and they're pretty great. Their last record was great. All right, I think we've pretty much kind of hashed it out on this album. I don't know if there's too much more to say other than that. This album's pretty meat and potatoes and by the numbers, and I think we've both kind of set our piece on it.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to sound negative. I don't want to put the idea out that the way I'm thinking about this is the way everyone else should. I mean, you should just consume music and consume as much as you want, but just for me personally, this doesn't interest me. While it's on, yeah, I'm headbanging. I'm fucking doing a little finger, hand wind ups. But when I don't know, after about 2 or 3 songs, I'm over it.
Yeah, I'm sort of same here. I mean, I did listen through the album, several times at least, and I found myself mildly entertained by it, but I'm not really in a rush to come back to it anytime soon. I don't really think I'm probably going to listen to it again at any point this year. So, if not now, then when? So yeah, there you go. I mean, I sort of see the merit in what the band is doing, and again, I think that they definitely have the talent to kind of live up to this style, but while there are elements that I like, overall, I'm kind of indifferent toward it. I'm feeling roughly like a strong 5 to a light 6 on this thing. Myke sort of seems, somewhat admirable of what the band is doing, but, sort of indifferent to at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
And I think we're going to leave it at that. Myke, thanks for coming on. And I want to urge everybody down in the description box to check out Myke's channel, where he does a lot of alternative hip-hop reviews and metal reviews. And of course, check out the great Dead End Hip-Hop YouTube channel, where they have these fantastic roundtable reviews that sometimes end in bloodshed, because you guys all have some pretty strong opinions.
Yeah, we're definitely trying to fight more in 2017. Peace. No more peace.
Make hip-hop reviews violent again in 2017.
Yeah.
All right. You know who it is. Anthony Fantano here. It's Myke C-Town. And thank you for watching, guys. Forever.